Luca Nation.
Luca
Big
Nation.
weekend of sports. Go ahead, take it away.
No, I'm repeating you. I just take
Do
it
you
away.
ever wonder? Do you ever wonder why anything that follows the word respectfully is never respectful? So, like,
Of course not.
respectfully, the refs did a terrible job in the football game.
It's funny.
Respectfully, LeBron was fouled, and that was one of the worst missed calls I've ever seen in my life.
One of my favorite things in the world. Like, if you say to somebody, I mean no offense by this, then you can say whatever you want. I mean no offense by this, but you're an asshole. Like, no, that's not the way the world works. Oh, with all due respect, you suck. With all due respect, you suck. I got a question for you. You might not think it's hobby related, but it is. It's a cage. I'm a cage. Now, there's a real cage. In the cage, I insert Salt Bay, the little dude that goes like this, and Tony Soprano, the bigger dude. And Tony Soprano and Salt Bay are in a cage. Who wins that fight?
What is that buzzing noise in the background?
I hear no buzzing. It must be your headphones. But now you have to answer the question.
So, Tony Montana?
Tony's not Tony Montana. Tony Soprano. Very big difference. Tony Soprano is in a steel cage match against the little Salt Bay. Now, let me give some color to this, okay? Tony Soprano is holding a basketball. Salt Bay's trying to take the basketball from him. All right? Tony Soprano doesn't like that. Salt Bay kind of throws an elbow, and Tony Soprano throws the basketball at Salt Bay. If they actually had to fight, what would happen?
I don't get the question.
Our audience gets it, which is really what matters.
How would they get this? Is this a meme?
No. Well, sort of hobby-ish meme. So over the weekend, footage from the Prism God basketball game. Oh, look what he did!
And Tony Montana.
Tony Soprano. It's not Tony Montana. Very different.
It's Santiago.
Yeah. Yes. So I was curious which one you think would actually win that fight. But I wasn't saying their names. I was saying Salt Bay and Tony Soprano.
It was funny that they collabed on that post.
Are you saying the refs were in on it? Are you saying it was fixed? It was another sporting event that was fixed this weekend? Is that what you're saying?
No, today's drama or today's fights are for the gram. Because they released the
footage
on
the line.
Collabing.
Put it on the line.
For the line.
On the line.
No, I think shout out to Culture Collision, shout out to Prism God and Goddess. I think they did an amazing job from what I saw on posts. There were a lot of posts and content and videos of the show, of the attendees, of the games. I thought it was an interesting show. I thought it was a show like none I've seen before.
I haven't recorded yet with Black Jade Wolf. We do show recaps, but I'll talk to you. What I will say about this is a couple things. Number one, I happen to really like Tyler Santiago. I happen to really like Steve Blaise. Very different personalities, very different people, both good for the hobby. I'm sure whatever that was squashed pretty quickly, and I'm sure they're pals. I'm sure, look, you get in the heat of it. What's funny about it is it shows people are taking that stuff seriously. People are taking the game seriously, the trophy seriously. So it was fun to watch. You've met Tyler. He's a competitor, man. And Steve Blaise is, for the hobby. So, the thing is for the hobby. The hobby's alive, man. I mean, the competitive spirit is alive and well. What I'll tell you is this. From an exchange gram view, this on the line thing that we do here, what I would say is if a show is able to generate a feeling of FOMO or regret by people who were not able to make it to the show. People are sitting there looking at the footage, looking at, the content that's coming out of the show, and you're sitting there in New York, like me, saying, wow, it looks like I really missed out by not going to the show. I think the show did a good job. I think that speaks well for it. And to have somebody like Mojo, who goes to a lot of shows, and happens to just pick up and go to Cuba with AG, if that's something you want to do, obviously goes to a lot of shows. For him to say it was a top 5 show weekend experience for him in the hobby, that's saying a lot. That's somebody who obviously goes to a lot of stuff. Good on.
Here's why I think that is. It's really hard when you go to these shows because you're always at the mercy of someone else. Mm-hmm. You're always at the mercy of a buyer or a cameraman, whatever it is. It's never all under your control. When you have something like this, an experience created for you, you know what you're getting. You know what's going to come out of it. That's in your control, I guess, so to speak. There's no randomness of the market of, I brought all these cards, they're not being bought, or I didn't move them for the prices I want. You know what you're getting out of the show, and now the cherry on top is making money.
Right. I mean, it depends what you're going for, right? I mean, the last couple of shows I went to with you, you had an inventory of cards, and you were looking to make moves. That's
for sure, but I don't go to every show.
No, that's a different thing. A lot of these guys were just going, for the content. A lot of these guys were going, it's a vlog, which is interesting, right? That a lot of these folks aren't even taking cards.
Is that right?
Yeah, they'll buy one, they'll do a deal here and there. But yeah, a lot of them were going out there. They went to play basketball. Maybe they went to, to set up and, give out business cards or have meetings or whatever it is. But a lot of people will go to these things, especially the ones that are more like industry.
You're not a big fan of the get up and go travel to Cuba thing. Like you never did that in your childhood, in your early 20s.
Went to Cuba, so Cuba
travel the world.
Cuba was off limits until I was almost 35. I think it was, when it was opened back up.
Backpacking through Bali. Going to Thailand for
Thailand, dude. Too far away from Chick-fil-A.
Never interested. Never even.
I'm not eating bugs and stuff like that. No way. Backpack? No. I need like luxury experience.
They have normal food there. They have normal food there with rice and eggs. It's basically.
No, somebody told me you have to eat like a pad, like a Thai pad.
Pad Thai?
Yeah, it's like I don't eat pads. Gross. I eat chicken.
That's our generation. I'm a little jealous because I haven't traveled. I know I lived in Mexico, but I didn't feel like that was traveling. I missed the traveling life. Like I was a little envious if they got a chance to, get up and go to and travel the world.
I mean, Cuba looks pretty terrible. I mean, there's no cows. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't want to go there. There's no meat. I can't get a burger. What do I want to do this for? And like Cuban food. Ropa vieja. I mean, like you're the dish of the country, and it's gonna be tough to eat. Get out of here. Like I like Cuban food. Don't get me wrong. I go to Aruba with my family, and there's an awesome Cuban restaurant, Mojitos. And since Aruba is like 40 something miles off the coast of Venezuela, it's actually easy to get meat there. They have South American meat. They have very good grass-fed cows. So the food is fantastic. It's really, really good in Aruba, and I'll eat Cuban food with the rest of them. Forget it, but it sounds like the Cuban food in Cuba is pretty damn terrible.
Who does it sound like that from?
The stories that they posted that you brought up.
And they were saying the food is terrible?
Yeah, so meat specifically, the cost of water's too much money. It's because of the government. It's because of the way that the country's run. They don't feed the cows. I think it's actually like you need like governmental permission to kill a cow because they're so rare there. Yeah, it's pretty nuts. I learned a lot about Cuba from their stories. That was fun.
So you keep up with the influencer culture. You know about Culture Collision, the game, and the argument between Blaise and Santiago. Yeah. You know AG.
Well, people send these things to me. And AG is a great follow. Great. It's a very colorful.
People send these things to you?
Yeah, the Blaise one. Somebody, a follower or a listener, sent that to me and said, "Did you see this yet?" And I was like, "No, that's awesome." Somebody sent it to me. Somebody sent me a clip, and I'm like, "Oh, this is great." The AG one is great because I mean, come on! I learned more about Cuba in like 4 stories and a couple of posts and stuff like that from her. Like you can see what it's really like. It's like a ride along. It's cool stuff. There are some people who are just really good follows.
I think she has a career in lifestyle vlogging. I agree.
Definitely, 100%.
Anything about the weekend in terms of sports and cards interest you?
I went 3 for 3. I went 3 for 3 in the AFC on props. Hey now.
You just picked tight ends, but you're a tight end.
Oh, Burrow was in that too. Burrow was in it. Burrow's completions went over. But yeah, I mean, listen. What am I going to say about the games? I'm going to say, I'm sorry, Jalen Hurts fans. No, I'm not. I'm not sorry. Take a look at the charts. And guys, listen. Part of that is, for the clicks, but part of it is real. And it's not just Jalen Hurts. It's almost everyone, right? I mean, I told you to be careful with the Brock Purdy stuff last week. And no one predicts the injury. But even if he wasn't injured, if he would have lost, now all of a sudden people are not, going crazy on Brock Purdy. And you get the whole, hey, look, on eBay, I got to cancel my stuff. I will say that I sold a couple Brock Purdy's, and I guess I'm happy that I sold them on Panini Digital because there is no backsies. If you want to talk about kind of like the whole NFT.
Remember in middle and elementary school front seas, back seas, when you had like a friend in the lunch line and you would get in front of them and then get behind them? So would it surprise you if I told you guys that Mahomes is second MVP, 5 AFC championships, third AFC championship, I believe that he's won, right? This is third Super Bowl he's going to.
Yep.
His cards in the last 6 months, guess how much they're down?
20%.
50%, according to the Card Ladder Index.
I mean, listen, this is what happens. Card prices, well, they ran a lot. You know what I mean? They ran a lot. That's part of it, right? And you remember right before the Super Bowl that he won, the Prism Silver, I mean, let's just call it the Prism Silver rookie, was a $10,000 card. Remember that? $10,000. What is it now? 3 and change?
It's hard to know. From what I understand with the Mahomes market, is there's quite a bit of shilling. Quite a bit of you know how like the Trae Young market gets shilled a lot? And this doesn't happen with every market. I don't know why this happens, but I do believe that card has been shilled, propped up, held up, whatever.
Run amok.
Run amok. We don't actually know the true price of that card, which makes things very, very complicated in this space. But yeah, it's around a $3,000 card.
It makes everything complicated. It's all complicated. Can't trust the comps. Some would say comps are lazy.
Who says that?
It's the Cardfather from Burbank. You remember that whole diatribe he went on about comps being lazy? And
I'm not a big fan of comps.
Tell me why. I like comps. When I go to the casino, I lose like $4,000 and somebody gives me like free pancakes. I'll get a comp for breakfast. Boom. Love it.
Is Waffle House a diner?
Go away.
I don't
know. I don't think so. It's similar, but it's a little different. Like diners, I don't consider diners fast food, even though clearly you get served your food fast. Like diners are sit-down restaurants, right? I know you sit down at the Waffle House, but Waffle House it just seems like a tier below a diner, right? Like IHOP is kind of right in between, right? Like IHOP is IHOP, Waffle House. They're like a diner, but like one step below a diner. It's sort of like McDonald's is a burger place, but it's not really a burger place. You know what I mean? It's like a step below a real burger place.
Shake Shack fast food.
I mean, they're pretty slow. The lines are pretty long. They're not exactly fast. But yeah, I mean, a limited menu like Shake Shack has is built for fast food, 100%. Yes. But I mean, listen, hobby lessons to be learned about all this stuff. A limited menu, right? Card collectors. You know, you don't go to Shake Shack and expect 400 options. And if you did, and they write it with chalk, I would just erase clearly wipe my ass down rest right off the chalkboard menu.
Okay, you'd get rid of clearly. Which immaculate, flawless national treasures? You have to get rid of one. Which one would you get rid of?
I would get rid of all 3 unless they were able to source game used for all 3. If they're able to source game used for only 1, I would do 1.
But I don't think Exquisite was game used rookie year. I think it's photo shoot worn jerseys that they use for LeBron.
Better than nothing. You know what I mean? Better than nothing. But you asked me what I would do. I don't know how Exquisite came into the equation. If I were doing it, I would whatever I could source, whatever I had enough to source. If I could do one,
would it be impossible to source rookie game worn?
Is it?
That's the issue. I think so.
Not anymore. It's not when the rookie product comes out a year and a half late. I mean, you can get as many Cade Cunningham rookie jerseys as you want right now. I mean, his rookie year was a year and a half ago.
That's true. That is true.
They might have backed their way into the ability to get some rookie game worn.
So we'll move to basketball in a second, but give me your weekend recap. Okay, Brock Purdy cards. Is Brock Purdy a buy?
Weekend recap. All right. I would have liked to have seen a little more competitive game. It's no one's fault in the NFC. Purdy got injured. I like that. I like that team. I like the Niners team. They hung in tough. But when you don't have someone who has the ability to throw the ball, the other team's able to put everyone in the box. They know what you're doing. The Niners defense was on the field a lot. You get tired out there when your offense is not able to actually move the ball. And, Philly took advantage of it.
Would you have liked Purdy to have shown a little more grit and wanted to stay in? Because he did go in at the end of the third quarter to the fourth, why didn't he want to stay and play earlier on? Why didn't he show a little bit more resilience?
So I'm not a doctor, right? I don't know if there's going to be an MRI and stuff on his elbow now. I would imagine that he couldn't even grip the ball to throw it, or something. I don't know what his injury is. He could have
But then
just
you
tore up his
can't
whole
put him
elbow.
back in. But then you can't put him back in.
So, I mean, at that point, they didn't have anybody to throw. Is what it seems like. You know what I mean? And that, in and of itself, is slightly weird. You know what I mean?
You know what I'm saying, right?
Of course.
Like, if you're going to put him in and leave him in and risk the injury and all that stuff,
So
versus putting him in when the game's already out of control.
I'm going to say this, right? The game wasn't really out of control. I mean, look,
48-7
that
was when they put him back in.
Yeah, but I mean, no, he was in before that. So here's what I'll say, right? I mean, remember they put him back in because the other quarterback got a concussion, and couldn't come back, right? So here's what I'll say about it. What I'll say is I typed into Twitter this morning Purdy, just the Purdy, because I was looking to see like an elbow update, like was there an MRI? What's the actual injury? Because it's weird to have that. Like he's healthy, right? But no elbow, can't throw. I mean, it's a throwing arm injury. What was the actual injury? Did he just destroy the whole elbow?
UCL sprain.
And my thought is maybe they were hoping, look, if you ever injure your arm, sometimes that grip strength is the last thing to come back, and maybe they were hoping that they'd, eventually he'd get to a point where he could grip the ball and throw it again, and he just was waiting on the sidelines for that to happen. And if it happened, great, they could put him in. That's my assumption. But I typed Purdy, and before I can get the word elbow out, Twitter filled in, what obviously most people are searching for. It said Purdy is soft. That was how Twitter filled it in. So what that means to me is that the narrative, at least on Twitter, is that people thought, based on that performance, that Brock Purdy should have gone in and was soft and should have been throwing the ball and shouldn't have been, on the sidelines, and he should have been whipping the ball around anyway, even if it hurt. And then I saw a lot of people comparing Mahomes with the ankle last week to Purdy with his throwing arm injury this week, which is a little silly. But I get that people are making the comparison. Like I said, not a doctor. I find it a little odd. Look, NFL quarterback, the reason why it's the most important position on the field, I mean, there are playbooks, there's, the defense is coming after you, they're scheming for it. It's odd to me that either he didn't have the ability to even just throw a couple of dump-off passes, or that there isn't.
He did.
He threw one. He threw a total of 4 passes for the game, none incomplete. He threw one to Kittle. He threw a screen, right? And it was completely snuffed out because even the throws, if he's not going to be able to throw the ball more than 4 yards, you got 11 guys within the first 7 yards. You don't need to cover, right? It completely, gives a huge advantage to the defense. But I guess what I would say here is, man, you got to think some of those wide receivers, some of the players were probably their high school quarterback. You know what I mean? Some of these athletes, can throw the ball a little bit. You've seen punters fake punts and throw the ball, and that's not the athlete who does it. Look, McCaffrey didn't exactly look like a QB back there, but at least it was an athletic play, and he probably could have taken off and gained some yards, or maybe Debo. I don't know. I don't know the inner workings, and you got to feel for the Niners because look, they were down to like their fifth quarterback. Talk about being snake bit from a quarterback position. It definitely, you feel for them because I think we were robbed of what would have been a better game.
Could have been a really good game. Even with Jimmy G, I'm surprised Jimmy G wasn't ready for the game, and he was like smiling on the sideline.
Yeah, but
Jimmy G's a weird guy.
It's just one little shot. Everybody was smiling at one point in time on the sidelines. I'll tell you, if you want to get really crazy hobby conspiracy narrative, the door was basically shut for Brady until this happened. So I think
Brady's going to the 49ers or the Patriots, 100%.
I think a couple weeks ago, Brady to the Niners was almost like a guarantee. And Purdy was the only one that could have, snuck a little bit of an issue into there. Because if he would have taken him to the Super Bowl, right? I mean, it was almost already like just taking him to the conference championship was enough, right? But now he's hurt, right? And now he's hurt in a way where, the 49ers, their fan base would understand it. It wouldn't be like, wow, why are we giving up on this guy? He took us to the Super Bowl. All right, they'll get it now. And if they can move Lance for anything and Jimmy G walks, before yesterday, I would have said very slight chance of Brady to the Niners. Today, my hobby conspiracy is saying that's where I would predict them to go now. And that's
okay. Retire Patriots, San Francisco. Give me, and he's not going back to Tampa Bay. We know that.
Yeah, I don't think he retires though. I don't think he retires.
0% retirement.
Yeah.
50% back to the Patriots.
No.
You don't think he goes to the Patriots?
I mean, there's a chance that would be a cool like storybook kind of thing, but no.
49ers. That's where
I think the Niners. I'll tell you the one thing that the Niners bring to the equation that he wouldn't get anywhere else, is NFC.
Oh.
It's NFC. I mean, you see how a team's talent can take a lesser quarterback. And don't get me wrong, Brady is a lesser quarterback compared to his former self. I mean, he's 127 years old. But look at the Eagles' talent. Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback. All right? I don't think he is the same quarterback that Mahomes is, that Burrow is, and that some of these guys are. He does different things. All right? And he had a great season. I'm not going to take anything away from him. But, man, that team is physical up front. Man, they were pushing around that Niners team. Now, pushing around towards the end of the game, more so than the beginning, which, a little tired defense that literally was on the field the whole game because their offense didn't exist. But that is a great front seven Niners team, and that's bully ball right there. The Eagles, that offensive line is impressive. Those wide receivers are impressive. Even the headiness of Devontae Smith to get up, give the signal, rush to the line. This way the Niners didn't have time to challenge that non-catch on fourth down that led to the touchdown. That was a huge swing of momentum in the game there. Those receivers are amazing. Goddard, I talk about Goddard on Whatnot. Said he was going to have a great game, even against Fred Warner, who's awesome. I mean,
do you think the
Niners have such talent, man? Do I think what?
Do you think the Eagles win the Super Bowl?
I don't. I think I would have a very difficult time betting against Mahomes ever.
Did you see Victory Investments had a really good story post, and do you think of football as NFL as a sport, or do you think of it as theater, or a combination of the two?
The two. Before we go into Victory, just really quick, Brady going to the Niners, he can do that for another couple of years. He can become the LeBron in the East with the Cavs, where people talk about it was such an easy road. It didn't really count. He didn't have to go through the gauntlet of the West. He was there in the finals every single year, blah, blah, blah. Brady can stay and play with McCaffrey and Debo and Kittle and Ayuk and, all of these weapons that they have over there. The offensive line, Shanahan scheming for him. And he won't have to go through the Mahomes, Burrow, Trevor Lawrence, Herbert, Josh Allen gauntlet. Lamar Jackson, who knows whether he stays in the AFC.
He's going on 46 years old, Cage.
Yeah, but he had more completions this year than anyone in the league. Right? And his passing yards were up in the top of the league.
So why wouldn't every team want him? Why wouldn't basically every team without a quarterback want him? Why would the Patriots not want him?
I think most of them would. So I'm a Raider fan, and while I would love for the Raiders to draft a quarterback, they have, I think, the 6th or the 7th pick this year. I'd love for them to maybe trade up, take one of the top picks, maybe one of those like if Chicago's really not looking to trade Fields and they want to build on Fields, I would love for the Raiders to trade their very early pick to Chicago with something else, and they can go out and get a franchise quarterback that they can build around. He could throw it to Devontae Adams. He could throw it to Darren Waller. Maybe re-sign Josh Jacobs, who led the NFL in rushing this year on a losing team. You know what I mean?
The Raiders go after Bryce Young.
So go after Bryce Young, exactly. But if they're not going to do that and they can't get that quarterback to do it, spending the money on Brady for a year or two in Las Vegas, he's still a draw, right? He's still a draw. He'll still put butts in the seats. He still sell tickets. He makes the team competitive. He's still a draw for other people. I would think other talent, maybe defense, would go there. People who have been in the league for a while but haven't played meaningful games will now say, all right, well, if I get to play with Brady, that's a nice thing. The Raiders' pass defense is abysmal. That's where they need to shore up. But
NFC, AFC. You've stuck
NFC.
On this thing all year. Stay in the NFC. It's an easier road.
100%. I mean, he probably doesn't want to play with cheese on his head, but, Green Bay.
He won't go to Green Bay now. That's rough. We could get it to the Green Bay wanting to move on from Rodgers. But give me let's talk about AFC Championship and then we'll go to the Super Bowl.
AFC Championship.
What's not talked about with Burrow enough is his accuracy at throwing the ball. I think he throws the best pass in the NFL today.
So it's funny. I listened to Dan Orlovsky and Michael Irvin on First Take this morning.
That's a deal.
And Orlovsky during the week was saying Joe Burrow's the best quarterback in the game. I give Joe Burrow respect. And Michael Irvin came on and said, "Well, you better eat your crap here because you said Burrow is the best quarterback." And Orlovsky was like, "I'm standing by that. Mahomes is the best player. He's the best offensive weapon." And it had me thinking, like, that's a little playing with words. Sure, Orlovsky's definition of a quarterback, he might be defining the quarterback position as somebody who played it 10 years ago, as the best thrower, the one who makes the best throws, the one who has the tightest spiral, the one who could throw the ball into the windows. Whereas Mahomes is just an offensive playmaker. He can scramble. He did the Kelsey touchdown, which I hit on a prop, guys. You all listening to me, 3 for 3 props in the AMC game.
That's almost an automatic.
Right. I mean, but that play, no one else in the league makes that play. The scramble, the running in circles until Kelsey's able to clear and then throwing it to him. There is not another player in the league that can do that. It's not exactly a traditional quarterback play.
For sure.
But I don't like Orlovsky's argument because a quarterback is now a playmaker. Look at the quarterbacks who are in the championship this year, right? Neither of them are what anyone would consider old-fashioned QBs. Drop back, stand in the pocket, statue quarterbacks. And sometimes the game evolves. Sometimes NBA becomes positionless basketball. Sometimes the 7-footer has to learn how to shoot a three-pointer. Sometimes the quarterback position evolves in such a way that you have to be able to be a playmaker. The Lamar Jacksons of the world, the Fields of the world, these guys. And while Burrow may be the best traditional quarterback, he may be the best pocket passer, I don't know whether or not that's the definition of a quarterback anymore.
I'm not sure if it ends up in winning because someone that he strikes me, and I did some research, Dan Marino was incredible as a quarterback. One of the most accurate quarterbacks. You go back and you watch some
injuries.
So there was like one where he threw like a ball 60 yards, hit it right on the dot. I think it was in the skills competition, the Pro Bowl. He ended up with zero rings. And it's interesting. It's that it factor. It's that intangible. It's finding ways to win. Sometimes, just because Mahomes, he fumbled that one pass, which looked so weird. Super Bowl. You think? Well, first off, have you seen Victory Investment's story?
No.
I tend to think that NFL is more theater than it is actually sport. You could basically on any day, relatively evenly matched teams. You could, depending on who the refs are, you could make your winner. It's pretty easy. It's a lot easier than I think other sports. My hunch is Andy Reid revenge tour, back to Philly, best quarterback, better team. They win. I'm having second thoughts. What are you?
No. So 2 things, and I think we're going to go to a different place with the theater, and then I'll give you my prediction for the game. Number 1, I said last week in one of our episodes that this game was a big deal for investors, for prices. And I said it would be great for Mahomes because if Mahomes won and he went on to win a Super Bowl, that's kind of a higher floor for him. It'd be great for Burrow because it obviously now he's going to another Super Bowl. Hopefully he wins it, and the whole deal. But I said if Burrow loses, I said, I know you're not going to like this because I think the guy's a fraud. But I said, if you have one of those back and forth crazy championship games, crazy AFC battles, where it's not Burrow's fault that they lost. Okay? He was right there. The defense couldn't stop, Mahomes. There was a penalty. You'd like to say Burrow didn't have the ball with 2 minutes left. They could have driven down the field for a win. It didn't happen. It was a long field, the whole 9 yards. It wasn't on Burrow. Burrow's not out there playing defense, right? He had a great game, and it came down to, who had the ball last. And it was Mahomes this time. That's exactly where Josh Allen was. Remember that Josh Allen
30 seconds last year.
15 seconds.
Yep.
He had the win, but then Mahomes came down the field and 15 seconds done. That wasn't the AFC Championship game, but you understand what I'm saying. And people were like, all right, well, Allen's going to take the next step forward. Well, now you got people kind of panicking on Allen a little bit. So Burrow, he did get to a Super Bowl. Allen didn't do that, but he lost. And now he took a step back this year and lost, and he's in that Allen boat. And with the AFC QBs being the gauntlet that it is, it's amazing how 24 hours later, 24 hours ago, we were talking about Joe Burrow as this can't-miss next best quarterback in the league. He's Joe Cool. It's Burrow head. He's going to win a Super Bowl, and boom, he's going to be the next big thing. I had people, asking me whether Burrow was Brady and Mahomes was Manning, and I said no. If those are the two, you got it reversed. Brady is Mahomes is Brady, but now
Jamar is Marvin Harrison.
No, I mean, listen, what if Burrow? What if he loses next year in the first round? Or what if the league catches up to him? You know what I mean? What if he has a Josh Allen type exit, right? What if Josh Allen beats him? And it's tough in the AFC. It's tough in that goal, and it makes it difficult to kind of lay out the kind of money. I mean, what Joe Burrow, $1.7 million for one of his cards or something like that. It makes it difficult, right? It makes it very hard to kind of really justify some of the prices that are out there for some of these guys, because it is just going to be one of these back and forth type of things. You never know. On the theater side of it, there was only one thing trending on Twitter more than Purdy is soft. Do you know what that is?
NFL
it was hashtag NFL is rigged. That was number one. Hashtag NFL is rigged. And
it's listed as it's registered
entertainment.
As entertainment.
Yeah, I saw that story with Victory like 2 weeks ago. I didn't know that he came back to it and reposted it today. But yeah, entertainment. So like wrestling, WWE, the World Wrestling Entertainment. But what's amazing about it is, yeah, maybe the Bosa brothers could have been a similar storyline, where you could have had like San Diego against the 49ers. That could have been a brother versus brother. But even if you didn't think it was rigged, even if you didn't think there was something to it that the NFL, wanted these two teams to play each other, and it's the best two quarterbacks during the year, the MVP 1 and 2, and best team in the NFC, best team in the AFC, best teams, best records, even if you didn't want it, when you layer in the Andy Reid Bowl, and the storyline that's there from a Disney perspective, and layer on top of that Jason Kelce gets to come out today and text that he's officially done being a Chiefs fan this year. Because obviously Jason Kelce will now be playing his brother, Travis Kelce, and you have sort of that battle between the two here.
I think it's cool that that they're clear-cut best in their position, too. I think that's kind of cool. Like, clear-cut, Travis Kelce's the best one.
Let's just say, it adds oxygen. It adds fuel to the fire that is there this weekend of the word rigged. You know what I mean? That it's entertainment, and that the NFL is leaning in a certain way, and that the Zebras this weekend were wearing red and white instead of black and white. That said, with all that stuff, Burrow did have the ball in a tie game with 2 minutes left and a chance to drive the field. Even with all the bad plays and all the bad calls and all the stuff that went wrong, if you freeze it with 2 minutes left in the game, Burrow had a chance. No?
Both teams, the Eagles and the Chiefs, got a lot of calls.
That's very true.
The extra down was very weird.
2 extra downs.
The 2 extra downs were very weird.
Because it was an extra down and then a penalty. They stopped them twice. Third and 9, and then third and 19. And then all of a sudden it's... the thing about the NFL that makes it easier to do it, and I was telling you this, you were right. We were texting, and you could tell I was angered by the NFC Championship game. And I'm not a fan of either of those teams. I don't have cards of either of those guys. I'm not like a Trey Lance or a Brock Purdy card holder. I don't own a Hurts card, because if I did, I would have sold it in October. But here's the fun. I was pissed off. And you were like, all these calls are right. And I said, yeah, but these calls that are being made, they literally happen on every single NFL play.
Right.
Every play. It's like traveling. All of a sudden this year in the NBA, they started calling traveling calls for some reason against certain players. It's the same thing. Like in the NFL, any play that you want to call holding, you can call holding. There's literally holding on every single play. That defensive hand jockeying where you see, it's very rare that it's a clear-cut and obvious call, right?
Can I tell you one thing I won't call that they never call is when they tackle someone by the back of the helmet.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you see that. Like that to me, it always looks like they're going to rip their
like a horse collar.
Yeah, but they don't always call those.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I mean, look, there's a face mask call. It's a face mask. You see it, and then they do a very good job even before the flag is out there. They're zooming in on the face mask. It's like the NFL and the TV network. They know what to show you. I don't want to get into the rig stuff because I'm not really a conspiracy theorist. I will say this: refs, no refs, rigged, no rigged. The Super Bowl is not always a great game. Okay? Oftentimes, the conference championship games are good games.
Yeah.
And it's rare that the two best teams in each conference get there because it is a gauntlet to get there. I mean, last year, the Bengals, that was a good game. They lost 23-20. It was a good Super Bowl. The Bengals were not, by most measures, the best team in the AFC. It was still a good game. I expect this to be a good game. Like, I don't expect Kansas City to blow the doors off of the Eagles. I do expect them to win, but I don't expect them to blow the doors off of them.
I expect Seattle versus Denver type of game where it was like 40-8.
Really?
And
You think
Chiefs,
Kansas City's
yeah.
just killing them?
I just think they're a more experienced team.
They are.
And then they match up better at every position. And yeah, offensive, defensive lines. I think that matters way less than people realize versus somebody like Andy Reid who knows that it's coming.
Okay.
And then you have Mahomes who could execute on it. I think his ankle is going to be more than likely fine in 2 weeks.
So will Hurts' shoulder.
Yeah, but Hurts' shoulder. Hurts is good, but he's not elite like a Mahomes. Well, Hurts is just going to throw the ball to AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. He's going to throw 40-yard bombs to Devontae. Hope he comes down. He's going to throw 12-yard balls to AJ Brown. It's like, go get yours. But
Frank Clark going to have to have a big game. Jones, they're going to have to have a big game because what the Niners, and obviously they weren't able to contain it for the whole game, but, up until, midway through the second quarter, Hurts had less than 10 yards running until garbage time. And if you listen to our Whatnot show, I mean, I couldn't predict a Purdy injury. That's exactly, I said Fred Warner is the name you're going to hear the entire time. He's going to have tackles in the backfield. He's going to stop a lot of the plays that the Eagles are used to doing. He's going to stop a lot of the runs. He will prevent Hurts from running the ball. And Hurts didn't even try, a quarterback draw up the middle, right? You didn't see a lot of designed Hurts runs. And if you take that aspect away from his game and you leave him having to throw the ball down the field, he's not that. Right? He's not that. But Kansas City does not have the front seven that the Niners have. So that's where it's going to be different. And, Sirianni, he can come up with a game plan. It's 2 weeks. A lot of run-pass options. You get Hurts back and healthy and use that offensive line, slow the game down a little bit. Sure. I can see the Eagles keeping it competitive.
They're outmatched where it matters most. They're outmatched at quarterback, and they're outmatched at... I don't know where you put Andy Reid, but to me, Andy Reid is right there nipping on the heels of Bill Belichick.
He has more playoff wins than Belichick, doesn't he?
Neck and neck. I think Belichick's 660 or something like.
That's total wins, but
I'll find it. I
playoff
did a
wins.
screenshot. I did a screenshot.
I thought Tom Landry had like 29 playoff wins or something like that, or 20 something playoff wins, and maybe Reid was second. I could have it wrong. I know
you might be right. So I actually did regular season. It's 8 Super Bowl wins, Bill Belichick, 2 Super Bowl wins for Reid, 1 as a head coach, 6 as a head coach for Belichick, 12 Super Bowl appearances to 4 Super Bowl appearances for Reid, 66% winning percentage, career regular season win percentage as a head coach for Belichick, 64% for Reid. But my point is,
Landry had 20 wins. He just passed Landry with that. Belichick has 31. I completely butchered that stat. It is Belichick has 31. I mean, come on, all those Super Bowls of Brady. What am I talking about? Landry had 20. He passed him. That was it. Okay.
Right now, Reid is the best coach in the league, in my opinion, right now, and you have the best quarterback in the league. Going into a Super Bowl, unless you have an elite like a Baltimore Ravens, a Seattle Legion of Doom, an 85 Bears, some would say, defense, I would really struggle to put your money on Jalen Hurts, even though this was the best team all season. So maybe I'm crazy. You guys will timestamp this and show it to me.
I mean, I expect the Chiefs to win, but it's not something where I think it's going to be a blowout. I hear what you're saying. It's just a little
34-17. I don't know if you consider that a blowout.
Can I tell you something that kind of irks me a little bit?
Sure.
I got 2 orders in a PSA.
Okay.
I got one that I sent in December 9th. It's only 20-something cards from, a quarterly special. And I got one I sent in, also quarterly special. One is sports, one is Pokemon. So I guess they're different. The Pokemon is 50 cards. The Pokemon one was sent in right before the end of the year, and it was it was scanned in on January 9th. So again, December 9th, 20-something cards. January 9th, 50-something cards. The one that was scanned in on December 9th has been in assembly since the beginning of January. Assembly. The one where it tells you cards are being sonically sealed and labels are being created. So it's literally been weeks in assembly. Not QA1, not QA2, not in grading, in assembly. Last week, my January 9th order hit assembly. Today I looked, my January 9th is in QA1. And my December 9th, half the size, is still in assembly. Now, I was worried maybe a card got damaged. Maybe there was an issue. Maybe there's something going on. So I called. I was number 156th online on hold. I had them call me back. I called at 10 a.m. My callback came at 6:15 p.m. I said, hey, this thing's stuck in assembly. They said, yeah, turnaround time on those monthly specials is 6 months. You're fine. There's nothing wrong with it. Nothing I can do for you. Project manage for me? I mean, you're a project manager. I mean, how does a double size order that was scanned in a month later move through the process? Anyway.
The new rules of the hobby, I think we're all getting used to them. We rode this up, we rode it down. We are slowly figuring out, which businesses are here to stay, what's their new operating procedures, I think it's incredibly frustrating, but it is what it is type of thing.
Yeah. I had a question. Somebody said they're going to a show the day before the Super Bowl, Saturday. So it's basically 2 weeks away. And this was the question they posed to me. And I'm not going to tell you what I said. I want to get your answer. They're wondering whether they should buy, if they could find like a bulk lot of Jalen Hurts cards. Like, optics, Prism rookies, low end, $50, $75, $100 ones. If they can get somebody to sell them a bulk of them, just looking to get rid of them like 70% comps, with the eye towards bringing it to the show the day before the Super Bowl and unloading them all on people. Is it too much of a risk? What do you think? Brilliant idea.
Well, there is no risk if you buy it at 70%. Because you could sell it for 90% and the player is going to be in demand going into the Super Bowl. I think in the hobby right now, it's buying right is more important than buying the right player. Like buying at the right price. If you can get someone to sell you a lot of a player, the right cards at 70%, you're going to make money because you already have your margin baked in.
So what about 80%? And how do you know you can be able to get rid of them at 90% the day before the Super Bowl?
Well, I think the day before the Super Bowl, that demand's going to be as high as it will be for this player, pending he wins. Right? So that there's going to be a market for Jalen Hurts cards regardless. So know that you could sell them.
One more question for you.
Yeah.
Let's say, hypothetically, you had a Patrick Mahomes 1-of-1 card that you're trying to get rid of. And you post it on your story. Any kind of action there? Zero. I'm always curious about that because I tried that 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I think
it's people don't realize it's a lot harder as a public facing person, at least for me. It's always when I was private, it was easier to sell cards than it is now for me. Because people think that I know something maybe secretive or
oh yeah. So
it's
trying to sell Mahomes message you. He said, "Oh, Luka, Tiger, LeBron, they know my ankle's really hurt. I'm not winning the Super Bowl." Like you're trying to dump it on somebody. I get it.
This is my perception. It's like I don't want to be the one. If you're selling, you must know something. So I don't want to be the one that's buying from you and holding their bag.
I give credit to the people who sell on IG. It's not easy to do. It's not. I've
never worked for me.
I posted. Remember, I had my Burrow orange, the color match one. I posted that up.
That's a cool card.
All this, and people were like, "Well, how much?" And I'm like, "Well, I mean, this is what I want. Too much." I'm like, "Okay," and it just didn't work. Like, I just sell it, just put it up for auction, get rid of the damn thing. That's a nice card. Did you raise the price now that he won?
I pulled it. I think I'm going to hold it. I do think they're going to win the Super Bowl. I'm still like a 50-50 decision for Burbank, so if that's the case, I might bring the card there. I actually think that's one of the cards that would look better in a PSA slab, so I might walk it through. That was a question I had for you, actually. Would you rather a BGS 9 or a PSA 8 for that 1-of-1 card?
Honestly, I don't think it matters because it's a 1-of-1. As long as it's in a slab, and the slab is basically letting me know that it's authentic and it's not completely smashed, I don't think I'd pay a premium for a PSA 8 over a BGS 9. That's just me being honest on a 1-of-1. If it was like an out of 10 or an out of 5 or something like that, I might have a different answer. But a 1-of-1
It actually sold through Raw. It sold more through Golden Raw because so the shield on it, apparently it says team hat logo, but I don't think it's a hat. Nowhere on the card does it say hat, so I think people don't want to pay for it because it says team hat logo on the slab, and I want that removed.
Okay.
I don't think it's a hat.
But I mean, isn't that the type of...
Nowhere on the card.
No. I think some of the 1-of-1s, eye black, hat logo, I just think that's the kind of card it is. Yeah, okay. All right, that's interesting. That's very interesting.
Learning as we go. This crazy world we call cards, the best hobby in the world. I'm a student in this game just like you guys.
So am I, man. Student forever. There's always something more to learn. You know? I mean, I had to come out and apologize today for nothing. Sell your Hertz.
People responded to that post and they're like, "Thank you for apologizing." And you were like, "Dude, I didn't even apologize. Watch the full video."
Yeah, I was like, "You didn't watch, did you? You're gonna be so mad in about 54 seconds."
So you go to law school, right? And you learn a subject. You learn that subject then and there, right? On the spot. What I think makes investing hard is you learn the concept, but you also have a second variable of time. And that second variable of time makes the lesson, you might start this lesson in October, but it finishes in February. Right? And that's what's happened with the Jalen Hurts cards.
My favorite is this, right? But people want to listen to the part that they want to listen to. The best part of that is at the end. You and I now, what's funny is I've been through a lot of cycles. We're approaching 1,000 episodes. You've been through some damn cycles yourself,
I'm almost done cycling.
I mean, show it off. Show what the cycle does. Let's see it. See the gun. Let's see it. So you've been through some cycles, man. You've been through some cycles. And you were there when Mahomes won the Super Bowl. And I'll never forget how shocked you were when you were like, how does this make any sense? His cards went down. He won the Super Bowl, and you were better off selling before and rebuying in after. And they've continued to come down. He won the Super Bowl. It's buy the rumor, sell the news, right? It's what we've talked about a bunch of times. And yet, still, what do I get? You ready? To be fair, Hurts cards are a lot less than Mahomes. If Hurts wins, which I anticipate they will, because the Eagles actually have an O-line unlike the Bengals. Okay, subjective slant. You're now baking in a win, but even if he wins, it's fine. They have a tough pass rush. I believe that means that Hurts' cards will be comparable to Burrow cards, which is a hefty gain for him. What? It's hopium. It's, all right, look, Burrow. Burrow is so much more than Hurts. Hurts is going to go and win, and the cards are going to go up. No, you want to know why?
It's logical, but it's flawed, which is the frustration.
Well, part of the flaw is this, and I'll give credit to a lot of people were on Hurts because he was so damn cheap, myself included. I just didn't buy. I told you guys to buy. He was like 1/8 of Herbert. Remember before the season, I was buy Hurts. This guy's got a great team. He's got a great offensive line, and he's too cheap. But the thing is, everybody did that, right? And people bought his cards, and they bought his cards all the way up. And it's funny because I don't want to make it sound like people are down on Hurts because they're not. The only people who are losing money on Hurts are the ones who bought in September or October. And even now, those people are sort of back to even, right? Because his cards are doing fine. The thing about it, though, is everybody who's holding Hurts is thinking like that guy's comment that I just read for you off of my post. And they're all hoping he wins so that his cards go to Burrow prices and they can then sell. The thing is, though, almost everybody in Hurts is in profit now. So when that Super Bowl happens, if he wins, which I don't think he will, but if he wins, very possible, you're going to get a shit ton of supply that comes out for all these people who haven't been through a cycle and don't realize what actually happens. They just assume, boom, win means more money for the cards. Cards and performance not tied together automatically like that. Just ask the Joker after he wins his third MVP this year, and no one gives you shit. This guy can win, and all these cards are going to come out. Everybody thinks the same thing, and boom, guess what happens when there's more supply and no more demand? Because all the Hertz people are trying to sell. The price is going to go down.
So if performance and cards aren't always tied together, what does tie into performance? What is the cause to performance?
So you have to watch the price action leading up to the performance, right? So the price action here has been up. He was a bargain. He's no longer a bargain, and that's why I say it's a risk management thing. That's why I say it's a lot of this upside is already baked in. That's when I say that. I say sell Hertz because the upside's baked in. It's not me saying Hertz sucks, right? Anybody who argues against that and tells me, "Oh, Hertz is awesome. They're going to win. He's done so much. He's going to win the MVP." I'm not even going to argue with you. All of that may be true, but what I'm talking about is supply and demand at a certain price level. Right? And his prices were low, right? The demand.
At a certain price level is the key word.
Correct.
It's so funny. Did you see Card Crush, I think, like 365, as soon as the games went final? He's like, that's why you invest in Hertz and Mahomes. Did you see that comment? And I'm sitting there smiling, and I don't respond as much as I used to. And I'm like, you little fool. I was sitting here holding Mahomes cards, and if you only knew how hard it was for me to move those cards, you might not say that's why you invested in Hertz and Mahomes, because Mahomes just had an MVP season, and his cards are down 50% in September. Yeah, and he's at the Super Bowl. Yeah. So just it's a bitter pill to swallow, especially if your money is in it.
Well, because cards are not sports betting. Right, and we talked about this at the beginning of the year. Is it better to buy Mahomes cards, or if you think he's going to have an MVP season, is it better to bet on him to win the MVP?
I think we know the answer now.
Clearly bet on him to win the MVP this year, although,
unless you love the card and you love cards and you're in it for the long run.
And that's a different equation.
But if you're trying to flip and make money, you have to weigh, maybe my money is better spent on just a futures bet. Like, maybe my money is better spent on Brock Purdy MVP for 2024 season than it is to chase his sticker auto 1/1 for 22K. You might be able to get that 22K by laying down a $1,000 bet at 22 to 1 odds.
Does that really sell for $22,000? Holy cow!
And it's Cage. What happened is we talked about the people that have left the hobby. We never talk about the people that have joined the hobby and stayed. And this is their first understanding of supply-demand at certain prices.
Yep.
And they came in at 2021 prices, and they might think, well, okay, if my 2021 price on Mahomes was $5,000, and he wins another Super Bowl, it has to be $20,000. But unfortunately, they don't realize that they actually bought the peak, and no performance will justify that price.
Listen, people do buy. I sold $140 worth of Panini Digital Mahomes, Kelsey, and Hertz cards. All clicked. They've all been up there forever, and overnight, last night into this morning, a whole bunch of sales. People went on there and said, all right, there you go. So
I think that what we're seeing with Panini Digital is supply and demand at certain price points, right? So, like, first year Prism, Silver, Tyrese.
The Kelsey Optic out of 125 was $1.
Correct.
I put it for $1 because I couldn't sell it less. That's the minimum. So
and there might get to a point where so many new buyers come in, and that Kelsey is now $14, and that's what we saw with Top Shot. Kobe White was selling for $3. What did it go up to as high as?
Like 70.
70. Like Jaren Jackson, what were you buying those?
$1.
And what did they
went
go
to
up to?
$399 from $1. That was ridiculous.
That was so ridiculous.
That was ridiculous. $399 for Jaren Jackson's from $1.
So we have the Black Jaded Wolf series this week, right? You're recording with her.
100%.
Asian, we're going to do an NBA show this week as well, so stay tuned to that.
NBA, LeBron record's coming. I think he's 117 points back. He's got back-to-backs here in New York. He's playing Brooklyn tonight and the Knicks tomorrow, and I think he's sitting out of the net game, which means he'll play in the Garden, chasing the record tomorrow. I think right now the fifth game would slot him at the Bucks. No, at home versus the Bucks.
Yeah, I think that's a good game to break it. Home at the Bucks, and then Saturday at the Warriors. Bucks Warriors, Thunder Bucks Warriors are the most likely.
Yeah, he's home Thunder on the 7th. That's possible. It depends what he does. 5 games, 117 points is what, like 23, 24 per game. He's been averaging,
I don't
28.
think home and away matters for LeBron. Like, it's not like the LA fans love LeBron. That's still, Magic Kobe territory.
I mean, someone like me, who thinks, well, it's better for him to have family there and friends and that kind of stuff, but it's LeBron. If he wants to have family and friends in New York, he can have them there. He can have them wherever he wants. But that was the first thing that came across my mind, and I'm like, I don't think LeBron's going to have trouble getting whoever he wants, wherever he wants to see him break the record.
Something that's not talked about with LeBron is Kobe, Shaq, Jordan, Magic. None of these guys were so rich that they were above rich for everyone else. Like, Jordan made his money later on in his career. He made his money actually after his career with the Jordan. LeBron is easily the wealthiest athlete that we've ever seen play in the NBA.
Shaq
by a mile,
too, but not
now
after. Yeah.
That's got to give you some sort of aura. Like, think about it. Like, you have guys coming in the NBA making like 700,000, 800,000, $1 million, 2 million, whatever. LeBron's worth a bill. Like you just said, he could charter a plane. He could do whatever he wants, and it's just interesting. It's not talked about enough.
I mean, it's also what you do with it. I don't remember, but I mean, when Jordan was playing minor league baseball, I'm pretty sure the Birmingham Barons had a better bus that year. You know what I mean? I'm sure the clubhouse for the Birmingham Barons that year was looking pretty good when he was playing with them. You know what I mean? The guys probably had better cleats.
Nice. Jordan cleats. That's another episode, little brain dump action for you guys. Hope you enjoyed it. A little different vibe, but any final words, Cage?
Just looking forward to some good sports here, man. I'm excited. I can't believe January's over. February is crazy. Everybody go watch Groundhog Day. Really underrated movie. A lot of fun. I love it. One of my favorites. I'm going to watch it with the family this week. We got a couple weeks. I'm not a big fan of the Pro Bowl, so I really couldn't care less about that. Although, the Manning thing is an interesting flag football. Like, they're really, surging for that. But we are very close to Super Bowl, All-Star break, and then meaningful basketball for a couple of months there. And baseball is right around the corner. This is a good time. And for you hockey guys, you're weird. But there's hockey too. There's a lot of great sports, man. I mean, lots of great stuff. Don't focus on the negative. It doesn't matter who would win that cage match between Salt Bay and Tony Soprano. What matters is the hobby has a lot of good stuff to celebrate. So let's celebrate it.